Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Delores Schlosser, who's the Marion County School Superintendent, for our Ask the Superintendent segment. And as we're recording this, it's coming up towards the end of the year. It's actually April when we're doing this. So how many days as we're doing this do you say
we have 29 days, so it's going fast.
And when is graduation and the end
We
of school
are
set?
looking at Saturday, May the 20th, 10 a.m., Marion County High School gym.
Okay, for graduation.
Yes.
And the last days of school for the students and
The
teachers?
students, it will actually be that Thursday.
So the 18th.
Yes.
Okay, for the students.
And then for the staff, it'll be Friday the 19th.
Okay.
So we're going to have an 11-week summer break.
Wow.
That's a long time.
So hopefully students will continue to do some stuff during that period to maintain what they've learned, right?
We'll have our Summer Dream Academy like we did last year. So there'll be events planned. Our Dream Bus will be on the road with lessons and lunch. And then we will also probably, we're looking at sending home some information to parents about what are some things they can do to help with that summer slide. Because 11 weeks is a long time. It's a long time for them to be out of school, and it's a long time for parents also to provide child care and provide some of those activities. So hopefully we'll be good partners in that. So that's what we're planning.
But before we get to the end of the year, there's a lot of other stuff to talk about as well. And there has been discussion on a new plan that will actually go into effect next year, a reconfiguration of the school system that we want to talk about for people. Tell us a little about how this plan came about, what the plan is, and when it will be implemented.
Well, we started out the conversation actually during the local planning committee process, and folks have asked, the local planning committee basically recommends a plan of what buildings or renovations would look like to the Board of Education. And within that, we discovered that we had some shift in enrollments that really needed to take place. And so it had been discussed before that we would actually redistrict students, and the board basically voted to move forward with basically a reconfiguration plan, so rather than a redistricting plan, because with redistricting you will actually have to do that again as population shift. So we've moved forward where all of our secondary school students starting in the 6th grade will be together. So Gary, we will have our 6th and 7th grade students together at the St. Charles location. We'll have our 8th and 9th grade students together at our Lebanon Middle location. And then at Marion County High School, we will have 10, 11, 12.
Okay. And that will start with the August school year?
Yes.
In August?
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So some students will be traveling a lot farther now to St. Charles, and some to St. Charles will be traveling a lot farther to Lebanon Middle at different times. Is that correct?
Right. And what we students that are at the St. Charles location, instead of going to going to this campus in the 9th grade, they're now going to come in the 8th grade.
Okay.
Okay. And so the children who live on the eastern end of the county that attend the Glasscock, they're going to be traveling to St. Charles, and we've looked at that, and we're looking at about an extra 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm saying that in literally 10 or 15 minutes. If you're at Calvary, instead of riding the bus into Lebanon Middle, you're going to ride from Calvary to St. Charles, which is about the same time.
Okay. So so this came about because you were having disparaging enrollment, correct?
Yes. Well, and what was happening is that at St. Charles, we had 250 kids. At Lebanon Middle, we have 450 kids. At St. Charles, their elective was music and PE. They weren't getting any of those opportunities that kids at that age level should get. Whereas at Lebanon Middle School, they had a lot more opportunities for elective courses, but because of the enrollment, it wasn't going to happen. For art, I think they had art 1 or 2 days a month. They had music 27 weeks and PE only 9 weeks. With this plan, it's going to be that all students are going to have PE at least 2 or 3 days a week. There will be a full-time art, full-time music. We'll have band. We will have a full-time Project Lead the Way or a STEM teacher, so all students are going to be exposed to science, technology, engineering, and math. We're hoping to have choir. all those kinds of things that kids that age, they need to start exploring that as soon as possible. And you know, we were having kids come from St. Charles who just hadn't ever had that opportunity. At the 8th and 9th grade center, we want to go ahead and give children in the 8th grade the opportunity to attend the area technology center. Mm-hmm. You know, if we left things the way they were and we did redistricting for travel purposes, the only children that would have access to the area technology center would have been Lebanon Middle School students. So again, that's another group of students who were not getting equal opportunities. And we also believe that it'll be important for those kids to come together just to learn one another. You know, you have 4 elementary schools, you bring those kids together at the 6th grade. We think that there'll be a lot of positives come out of that, just the interaction with the kids. So.
And with this reconfiguration, the elementary schools aren't affected?
They are not affected. We will continue with 4 elementaries, and you know, that's one of the things that the local planning committee really looked at is if you looked at our enrollment, you know, what we've proposed is that on that committee, they proposed a new Calvary. Well, when you look at Calvary's enrollment, the State Department would normally say that's not enough. But the way we've we've proposed to the state is that, you know, we see our community growing, we see more students coming, the population increasing. It'd be nice to have another elementary school with room to grow, because currently all of our elementaries are full. Mm-hmm. So we could build a bigger elementary and keep those 4 elementaries. In most districts, Gary, what they have done is consolidated. You know, they would say, well, instead of having 4 elementaries, we're going to have 3. Right. Instead of having 2 middle schools, we're going to have 1. And so we would go from having 7 sites to having 5. And what we're hoping is to be able to keep all 4 elementaries and keep small. I mean, you know, you can have a 700-person middle school, and it's feasible, and there's all kinds of places all over the state that has that. But I really like the idea of having smaller is better. Mm-hmm. But it can't be too small, or you won't have the same kind of opportunities. So. Right.
Now, technically, even though you're keeping those facilities, those schools will technically close, you were saying, yes, as how the Kentucky School Board would see it, and then have to reopen, and there is a potential for name changes.
Yes. Okay. So that's one of the things that our Board of Education will be discussing. When we do this, you apply to KDE, and our schools have numbers, and that's a lot for coding and different things like that. But you actually close those schools and you reopen them with a new number, and they can have a new name. So that's something that our Board of Education is going to have to look at. And one of the things that I want to do with this reconfiguration is I'd like to have a group of students that actually are a part of some of this decision-making process and get their perspective on it. I've asked all the principals at all 7 schools to provide me with student leaders in their school that they feel like that would serve that purpose. So I really think the board is going to, you know, they're going to want to hear what do the kids have to say. You know, do you keep the same name, or, you know, if it's going to be a new school with different objectives, you know, do you have a different name? So I'm sure that'll be a topic of discussion at the April board meeting.
Okay. But as we said, this will go into effect beginning with the next school year for the 2017-2018 school year. And when have the students been made aware of they're all where they're going to be changing now,
yes,
to which school they're going to be going, what have you?
Yes.
So if they're going into that year, they know that it's either one facility or the other.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And we are going to have a bump up day in May. And so the students all across the district will go to the next grade level. So if you're in the 4th grade, you're going to go to your 5th grade classroom. If you're in the 5th grade, you're going to go to that 6th, 7th center. So that just kind of gives them a little acclimation time to go to their new school or go to their new classroom, meet their new teacher, meet their new principal. And I'm really pleased that our district does that. You know, that takes some of those butterflies away, right, and it gives us something to look forward to as well. And our seniors are basically going to be bumped out. We're calling it getting out and getting ready. And so they're going to actually be downtown, and they're going to be doing some of the things that we don't always do at a high school, like checking and savings and finances and stress management and time management. You know, those things that kids need when they graduate from high school that may not necessarily be in a textbook.
Right.
So.
And for transportation, there could be some new transportation options, obviously, for transporting. When will that be determined? When will parents and students be made aware of those?
We've already been talking about that. Mr. Spalding did a webcast to discuss what some of that would look like. We don't have every bus number route assigned to that, but he studied that. He's been at all the schools. So as soon as we get more fine-tuned, we'll make sure that parents know that. Also, want to make you aware of that we will have a shuttle bus. So let's say that students stay after school. We're actually going to, if they stay after school on this campus, we'll make sure that the bus runs back to the western end of the county to get kids home. Same way, if we have kids on the western end of the county, we're going to bring them back here to this campus so parents can pick them up. So if you're a parent and your child's involved in extracurricular activity and you would have normally picked them up at Lebanon Middle School, you're still going to be able to do the same thing.
Okay. Now, as we said, this county came about because of the local facilities plan. And as we know, there was the vote last year with the nickel tax that was passed for the school system here in Marion County. And there was a facilities plan that's been proposed, and it's in Frankfort now, that kind of includes all the campuses, right?
Yes, it does. And when you look at all the needs district-wide, it's quite a bit, more than even the nickel can address. What we're hoping for is that the legislators next spring will match our money. If that's the case, we'll go from around 18 million to around 30 million. But our plan actually proposed over $60 million worth of needs.
And that's for bonding that we're talking about, where you go from 18 to 30.
Yes.
So the proposal that you had was for $60 million to do everything that's needed district-wide. If
we addressed every need everywhere across the district, that's how much it would be.
And what new buildings are included in that $60 million?
What the proposal was is a new Calvary, a renovated high school, and a new 8-9 center.
Okay. So if a new 8-9 center, what would you do with the current, you'd have St. Charles and Lebanon Middle go back to being middle schools?
No,
then?
We would actually, St. Charles would continue to be a 6-7 center, and Lebanon Elementary would move into Lebanon Middle School.
Okay.
So that would address, yes. Now, I don't know that we would close that. That would be a local planning committee and a board's decision. It would be an option to close it, sell it, or it could be that we use that center for something else, maybe for special programs, adult education. So it would just depend.
So we won't know about the matched funds until the 2018 legislative session?
That's right. And it'll be at the end, and I think that session runs long, so it'll probably be next April before we would know about that.
So the plan is in Frankfort. It could be approved in June. However, the implementation of it could not begin until potentially 2018 or what have you.
Right. And, I don't think that it would be, I would think that in this time we just need to visit other schools, see what they've done, because until you know how much money, you really don't know what to tell your architects and engineers what you want them to even design.
Right.
Because like you said, if we don't get the match and you only have $18 million, then you have to figure out what we can do with $18 million.
Right.
If you get $30 million and you have a $60 million, you've got to sit down and say, okay, what's going to be first, second, or third?
Right. And what's the time frame for that proposed, that $60 million construction plan? Was that over like 5 years, over 10 years?
That can be until it's addressed.
So,
and the longer it takes to address it, the more it actually costs
to do it.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll hear about that in June and then can move ahead with that. Also, in the meantime, you potentially have a new principal coming for the high school.
Yes, tonight the council and I will be interviewing for the high school principal job. As most folks know or may not know, for the past year we've had an interim, Mr. Tom Brown. He's done a great job of holding the fort down or steering the ship. But we've had the job posted since December, and we've got some applicants coming in for interviews, and hopefully we can make an announcement. If not, the council and I could decide that we are going to continue with applications, or we may move forward with an interim again.
Okay.
So.
And then also coming up later this week on Thursday, you have the Spring Summit for the schools.
Yes, we do.
What can
Very
people
excited.
expect for that?
Hopefully it's going to be a wonderful time, just like it was last year. The Dream Bus will be there just for anyone who's not had an opportunity to see that. Our students are preparing to present to the community about the progress we've made on the 6 Big Dreams. So very excited about that. Would love anyone that would love to attend. We'd love to have you there. It'll be a great time, and it's just a really nice time to see all the work that we do. And when I say we, I don't mean just Marion County Public Schools. Our community is so involved in all the things that we do, and it's a nice time for us to say thank you and appreciate and highlight all the things that they do to basically do what this banner says, which is we want to graduate all kids college and career ready. So we're excited.
And that's 6 o'clock at Center Square.
Yes, sir.
In Lebanon.
Yep.
So that's an update on some of the items that are going on with the Marion County school system. And I've been talking with Marion County School Superintendent Laura Schlosser. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's been Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television.